This says that Christians in Syria face uncertain future under HTS. Persecution watchdog warned. So if you guys didn't know, Syria's leadership has completely fallen. It's down bad right now. And what has replaced it has some people optimistic, but has other people on alarm, specifically to the minority Christian population there. About 10% of Syria is Christian, which is rather big for the Middle East. This is more than Israel. This is more than a lot of other countries in the Middle East. Syria has a 10% population of Christians, and it looks like they're going to be under severe potential persecution, okay? So Christians in Syria confront an uncertain and perilous future under the control of Islamist-led rebel forces, a human rights group has warned. The city's minority Christian population, significantly diminished by years of civil war, now grapples with fears of escalating threats and restrictions. Islamist rebel forces, so this was the part where some people were like, hey, you got to let this thing play out. I believe Donald Trump said that. I believe Bibi was kind of with this. You got to let this thing play out. And then Turkey is grabbing more land. Israel is grabbing more land, right? But these Islamist rebel forces, I don't think they're like the folks you necessarily want to be in charge. That's the frustrating part about a lot of this region is when a bad party falls apart, Hamas falls apart, Hezbollah falls apart, oftentimes something worse rises up. Right? That's the theory. Now, we're about to see it play out in Beirut and everything that's been happening north of Israel. So I'm not sure, but this is definitely interesting. Okay, so it says Islamist rebel forces led by I'm not going to say his name, which is designated as a terrorist organization by the U.S. and UK, captured Aleppo about a week ago, followed by Homs in Damascus late Saturday night. Now, remember, these are all pretty important spaces. Where did Paul have an encounter with Jesus? On the road to Damascus, right? In a sweeping offense, toppled Syrian government forces. The president ran to Moscow. Many Christians have fled, leaving behind a small but resolute group trying to maintain their faith and traditions. The coming days and weeks will be crucial for the fate of the Christian community. Jeff King, president of International Christian Concerns, a statement shared with the Christian Post. Christians with roots stretching back nearly 2 millennia now face an uncertain and perilous future. Bread shortages have worsened. Drinking water remains unavailable in several areas. Curfew imposed by the militant group from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. further strict daily life, leaving many residents, including Christians, feeling confined and vulnerable. Small vans distributing free bread and water in some neighborhoods offer limited relief. A key highway between Damascus and Aleppo has also been blocked, leaving residents with only a congested and hazardous alternative route, according to CNA. Isolation has claimed lives, including that of Dr. Arwant Arslanian, a Christian physician killed by sniper fire while attempting to flee the city. Sheesh. Reporting the page of Armenians of Syria. Now, if you guys didn't know, I'm ethnically Armenian, so this is in the part of the world where I was from. Turkey and Syria share a border. Armenia and Turkey share a border. This is all a mess. A bus carrying young Christians was also stranded on the Aleppo road, later finding refuge at the Syriac Orthodox Archdiocese. Many Christian leaders have remained in the city, providing spiritual guidance and practical support to their communities. Syriac Orthodox Metropolitan Bishop Mor Batrus Kassis and other Christian leaders have been communicating through the social media where they held prayers and liturgies. They are encouraging Christian residents to face the reality with awareness, courage, and faith, he was quoted as saying. Franciscan father, representing the Latin Church, acknowledged that the church knows now no more than the people do. It's up to the individuals and families to decide if they want to stay or leave. No one can make it on behalf of another. We flares are staying and waiting to see how things unfold. Sheesh. Despite assurances, fears persist among Aleppo's estimated 30,000 Christians, down from hundreds of thousands before the Syrian conflict in 2011. Switzerland-based group Christian Solidarity International responded to the assurance given by the HTS. Ideology and history gives religious minorities in Aleppo serious reasons to doubt these promises. So yeah, they're saying here that this militia group will be friendly to Christians. They'll protect civilians, including Christians, the HTS. But these folks are skeptical. HTS has often targeted Christians throughout Syria in violent attacks and kidnappings, reportedly killing Christian civilians and confiscating their property. In the Salafist worldview that animates HTS, Christians are not heretics to be destroyed, like the Alawites and the Druze, but people of the book, followers of religion that were revealed before the coming of the Islamic prophet Muhammad in lands ruled by Islam. They should be, the Himis, a protected people who are kept in legal subjugation and pay an additional tax called the jizya tax, which is, by the way, pretty foul. Until now, HTS has avoided imposing diminished status on Christians in Adlib by referring to them as mustamin, or temporary residents. but how long will HTS maintain this distinction? However, Archbishop of the Armenian Catholic Church sought to reassure worshipers during a mass, telling them, "Do not fear, dear brothers. We have received assurance from all parties. Continue living normally and everything will remain as before." I hope he's right. Christian community in Aleppo has historically aligned with the Syrian government. Al-Assad, a member of the awake minority, has positioned as a protector of minorities. The rebel takeover represents a dramatic shift, stirring memories of prior persecution during the Islamic State's reign over Syria. Man, that's a mess. And listen, I come from this part of the world. This stuff is not uncommon. It happens a lot. There's all sorts of Christians being persecuted. Just in 2023, September of 2023, over 100,000 Armenians were displaced from Azerbaijan. This stuff happens in this region all the time. It's unfortunate. It's tragic. I don't know how they're going to work through it. I don't know how you maintain any sort of order in these parts of the world. How do you allow people to self-govern? How do you get rid of dictators when other radical organizations rise up? Like, this is all very complicated and quite frankly, above most of our pay grades. And so I'm just hoping and praying that these folks don't end up being persecuted. But it's likely they will. It sounds like they will. So yeah, this is gonna be terrible for many people if it goes that direction. In terms of support, I mean, I think practically, from my understanding, in terms of support, practically praying for people, I'm sure the Red Cross will be stepping up and the UN will be sending supplies out if they aren't already. And I think ultimately, I just had a conversation with someone from Beirut, Lebanon, and he's a missionary out there. And one of the things he said is when these sorts of things happen, this is a great time for missionaries and the gospel to be preached because there's so much uncertainty and people are actually open more than ever before when you have Christians and missionaries being sent to these parts of the world. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's super sad, man. For far too long, the bar for Christians has been set low. More Christians are skipping church, watching online, too busy for group, and not serving in their local church communities. They go about their lives not feeling connected to Jesus, and in turn, their salvation goes unnoticed by their unsaved peers. They've become indistinguishable from the world around them. We need to shift from asking, what is the bare minimum I can do for Christ, and start asking, what would it look like to live a life entirely devoted to Him? 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 12 describes a life that seems to have been forgotten. Live such good lives among the pagans that though they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day He visits us. So join me and my favorite pastors, podcasters, and performers March 27th through 29th at the Bless God Summit in Southern California and discover your personal ministry, calling, and purpose when living in complete devotion to Jesus. Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to comment below and subscribe and all that good stuff. And check out this other video that YouTube seems to be recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.